Hello everybody and welcome back to MUFC MPB here on YouTube. My name is Brooks and today is Monday, I believe the 4th of March 2024. As I said in Friday's episode, we are flying through this year, which does mean only one thing. We are getting closer to the summer each and every passing day. And look, I'm not really going to talk about the topics too much. We're just going to get straight into it because as you can tell by the title, the thumbnail and the quote that's on the screen right now, this episode is going to be largely about the future of Erik ten Hag. And we're just going to start off with Paul Scholes. He made a comment on Erik ten Hag's future. He says, I think Ineos have already made their mind up. I don't think he'll be here next season. I wouldn't be surprised if they're looking for a new manager now. Now, personally, I don't want Erik ten Hag to go at the end of this season. I think he should be given the full year next year to see if he is genuinely the right man to take Manchester United forward, because we know he's a good manager. We saw what he could do at Ajax and we saw what he did last season. You could almost say that this season should have been last season and last season should have been this season in terms of our performances, in terms of the trophy that we won, in terms of the position in the table that we were taking up. It wasn't all roses for the whole season last year. We were battling with Newcastle. There was a little moment where we thought, could we push the top two? And then of course we did end up finishing third. But this season just hasn't been the same. Of course, we've been flooded with injuries. And I've said a few times on Twitter in the last week or so, people with sense, I think, will be able to understand and comprehend that, yes, this season has been a lot of trouble, a lot of injuries. There's been a lot of trials and tribulation going on. But at the same time, Ten Hag can't take all the blame here. I think a lot of the blame goes down to luck. Martinez, Mount, Maguire, Varane, Evans, Shaw, Martial, Rashford, Højlund, Casemiro, Eriksen, pretty much the whole, Aaron Wan-Bissaka as well, don't forget Wan-Bissaka, pretty much the whole team has been injured at some point, and a lot of those injuries will have been grouped together. So we do have to take a lot of things into consideration when we say, Erik ten Hag should or shouldn't be here. But there is a feeling that he won't be here next season, and this is what I do want to talk to you about. I have on the screen here, 1, 2, 3, the top, I guess. Well, to be fair, there's literally about 50 names here. But I'm just going to take you through the top 5 managers who are favourites to come in. And I'm going to take through in order. And I don't know, I don't know if you guys are going to like this or not. I certainly don't like a couple of the names that I'm seeing on this list. But there is one manager who I must admit I haven't watched so much of their team this season. I don't watch a lot of the football in that country. But what I can do is look at how well they're performing in the league, how well they're performing offensively and defensively, and just look at the general reaction to this person's name. But we'll go through that in a second. So the favourite, unfortunately, to take over Manchester United in the summer, should Erik ten Hag be sacked, is Graham Potter. Now, I said in Friday's episode, and I have said before, I don't think that this would be the right appointment. I think we've seen what happens when a manager of Graham Potter's stature goes from a club like Brighton to a massive club like Chelsea. And of course, Manchester United are an even bigger entity, so I don't feel like this would make sense. I don't feel like this would be the right move for Manchester United, for Ineos, and for Graham Potter himself, who definitely would be looking to resurrect his managerial reputation after what happened at Chelsea. Now, the next name is the manager I was talking about and who I would probably want to come in out of all the names that have been listed in the top 5. It would be Inter Milan's manager, Simone Inzaghi. Now, Inter Milan, haven't they conceded like 4 goals in the last 11 games? I want to say they're like 10 or 11 points clear at the top of Serie A. They're definitely going to win it. Lautaro Martinez has been performing out of his skin. And if you guys, like myself, don't watch too many full games in Serie A, I watch the highlights, I watch extended highlights, but I very, very rarely sit through a full 90 of Italian football. You'll understand that Lautaro Martinez is a very, very good striker. He is a world-class striker and probably the best striker in Serie A. You might want to say Victor Osimhen, but I would say Lautaro Martinez. However, if you were watching the World Cup, you might think Lautaro Martinez is a bit of a fraud. I know I've watched Martinez a few times. I've watched a lot of his highlights. I've watched a lot of his Champions League games and whatnot. His performance in the World Cup final, just ignore that. Ignore that. Don't worry about that. That's not a true reflection of his ability. But when you have a manager like Simone Inzaghi able to get the best out of him and the best out of the rest of his team, which is, to be honest, filled with a lot of players you might not expect to see playing at the top. We've got a Manchester United reject, Matteo Darmian. You've got a few free signings in there. You've got Çalhanoğlu, who was a free signing. He's one of the best in his position this season. Inzaghi is just able to get the best, or it seems like he's able to get the best out of what he has. He's able to get the best out of players. And I think if he was to come into a club like Manchester United, especially this summer under Ineos, I believe he might have the financial backing. He might have a bit more freedom when it comes to what he's able to do at Manchester United. It could be a very astute appointment. I wouldn't be totally against it. However, as I will always say, I would prefer Erik ten Hag to stay at least for 1 year under Ineos. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. The next manager on the list, who's third favourite according to the bookies to take over Manchester United, is Sporting manager Ruben Amorim. Again, I don't know too much about him, but I will mirror what I said in Friday's episode. When you're at a club in their respective country who's like at the top, so Manchester United, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, City in England, you have Lyon, Marseille, PSG, maybe Monaco in France. In Portugal, you have Benfica, Porto, and Sporting Lisbon. I think there are a lot of transferable skills that he would be able to take from a team like Sporting to a club like Manchester United. We have seen a couple of times, and we have been talking about, we don't think the manager will be able to take that sort of a jump, i.e. De Zerbi, Potter, from a lower kind of club to a club like Manchester United. But when you're at Sporting, when you're at Lyon, when you're at Real Madrid, Barcelona, all of these massive clubs in their countries, there is some sort of a step that they can take which isn't as big as a Brighton to Manchester United. So I wouldn't be too against Amorim. I don't watch Portuguese football, but I do know that he's quite an exciting manager, and he does have Porto playing very, very good football. And it wouldn't be too much of a we got Amorim. I think it'll be we got Amorim. This is going to be quite exciting. So I wouldn't be too upset. I'd kind of be excited for that deal, to be honest. The next name on the list is someone who I don't really want at Manchester United, Thomas Tuchel. The next on the list is someone who we definitely won't be getting in Zinedine Zidane. Now, the top five: Potter, Inzaghi, Amorim, Tuchel, and Zidane, in that order according to the bookies. Potter being odds-on favourite to take over at Manchester United. Now, a couple of the other names further down the list, I'm going to give you a couple that I definitely don't want to see. Julian Lopetegui, Gareth Southgate, Iraola. I don't want to see Mourinho back, to be honest. Not that I don't like him, I just think his time is done at Manchester United. McKenna, Carrick, I just don't think they have the experience to take over and be the full-time manager. And then you just have, a lot of the other names. We're obviously not going to get Postecoglou. We're not going to get Unai Emery or Eddie Howe or any of those names. But listen, as I always say, and I'll always stay firm on this, I don't think Erik ten Hag should be sacked in the summer. I think he should be given the full year under Ineos to see what he can really do. Because look, we've seen what Erik ten Hag can do. Let's not be ignorant. Let's not be blind to what we've seen, what he did with Ajax and what he did with Manchester United in his first season. It would be silly to completely dismiss all of that. There is a great manager in there. He just has to be in the right environment. And that's something which I think Ineos will and can provide. But back to Paul Scholes, I think Ineos have already made their mind up. I don't think he'll be here next season. I wouldn't be surprised if they're looking for a new manager now. It wouldn't be surprising if they were looking for a new manager. It would be surprising if they completely weren't, if it wasn't even on the agenda, if it wasn't even at the bottom of the list. It would be a surprise if there weren't talkings of it already going on, because who knows what can happen. Erik ten Hag might lose all the games between now until the end of the season. Anything can happen, so you have to be ready for things like this to happen. So to be honest, I don't really read into that statement too much. But one thing we can read into is the performance that we had to watch. Why isn't it? That we had to watch yesterday. Okay, here it is. No team have had fewer shots against Man City in a Premier League match this season than Manchester United did today, i.e. yesterday in the Manchester derby. It is unforgivable. However, I will give Erik... Listen, I always like to be the devil's advocate regardless of what situation there is. I always feel like there is another side to the story. We didn't have a striker. Bruno Fernandes or McTominay were playing in the false nine position. We had Rashford and Garnacho on each wing. not really playing too centrally as starting out centrally. So there is a reason why we weren't able to fathom a lot of opportunities or have someone on the end of the opportunities that we might have been able to create. Højlund was a massive miss. We played definitely counter-attacking football yesterday, and there were some good chances. Rashford had a chance where he completely missed the ball. He also had a chance where he wasn't able to head the ball directly in the correct direction, and Kyle Walker was able to obviously catch up with him. And there was another one, and I'm going to say this again, Sky Sports are crooks. When Rashford was through on goal, the angle that Sky Sports showed obviously made it out to be, he just dived. There was contact. Look, if you've played football, not even if you've played football, if you've ran at any point in your life, if you're running full speed and someone clips you, clips your heel, clips your toes, you're going to fall. You miss the floor, basically. If you miss the floor, you fall. And that's what happened to Rashford. I don't think it was a red card. I think it definitely was a foul. You're clean through on goal and you get clipped, that's a foul. But I think the angle that was shown on VAR, at least to us, the public, the viewership, was terrible. You're showing it from the other side where there looks to be zero contact. So obviously the agendas are going to fly. Rashford's diving, all that rubbish is going to fly. He got touched. It should have been a foul. Don't think it should have been a red card, but we at least should have got something from it, because of course from that they went down the other end and put it in the back of the net. That's why I'm talking about that. Listen, I think we got unlucky with that one, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't have lost. Obviously Rashford's goal in the first half was, gosh, goodness gracious me. I screamed. I don't usually scream that much. I'm not much of a screamer, pause, but like, gosh, yeah. Come on, Rashi. But listen, back to the stat. No team have had fewer shots against Manchester City in a Premier League match this season than Manchester United did today. I don't care. We didn't have a striker. We got absolutely dominated, and we didn't have most of our team as well. I would have been happy with a draw. I would have been ecstatic with a win. Obviously, I'm upset with the loss. However, I'm upset with the way we went about that loss. However, another however onto that, what more can we do? Manchester City need a goal. They bring on World Cup treble winner Julian Alvarez. We actually need to get back into the game. No offense to these guys, but we bring on Forson. We bring on Amrabat. We bring on Anthony. Who was the other player? Willy Cambuala. No offense to those guys, but listen, Alvarez, those four. We need a goal. We're not getting a goal with those four coming on. There's not much that we could have done. I think it might have been a different result if we had very few injuries or no injuries. We would have been better in the match. We would have been more composed. I think we would have been able to impose our style of play a little bit more on City, because there were periods where we did keep the ball for a few minutes and it just amounted to nothing. I think someone who can hold their head, a couple of people who can hold their head very high. Bruno Fernandes, look, he's getting a lot of hate, and I think he had a decent game yesterday. He did what he could do. Look, he couldn't have done much more. I think Rashford, obviously, he got the goal. I think he can hold himself high. I think Johnny Evans, I think Erik ten Hag said he bought him off. He's not like broken his leg or anything, but for an injury. Rafael Varane as well. Onana, by the way, was absolutely immense. I know he conceded 3 goals. He probably shouldn't have conceded the second, but obviously the first from Phil Foden, I don't think anybody's stopping that. And then the third from Haaland, I think, listen, you don't really do much about that either. I think other than that, Onana had a very, very, very good game. His distribution, apart from one ball, which I can remember, was on point. And he was the one who sent Bruno through for Rashford's goal. So look, Onana had a very good game and a lot of saves as well. Sorry, I was just checking an update from MPB himself. Look, I don't know if you guys agree with this. I don't really agree with this. I think, look, English isn't his first language. I think if English was his first language, he would have said, given the circumstances, given the players that we had available, we did the best that we could. We played an all right game. A lot of people think because Man City had all of the ball, we got dominated and they dominated us. I think we were able to control them for as long as we could. We were able to get that goal, whether or not it was a lucky goal or not. We were 1-0 up. We just had to control the game for as long as possible. And as I said, there's only so much you can do with players that aren't your first team players, with no real backup, and players playing with injury anyway. I think, we did have a decent performance given what we had available to us, but no, we got absolutely dominated. it's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. But let me just double check for you guys if I have anything else to chat about. One last thing. This is what I wanted to end on, because I'm kind of annoyed at this, and I guess it goes back to the Manchester United is full of divas. A minority of Manchester United players are concerned about the running demands from Erik ten Hag. Some players believe the intensity is too taxing after United's 62-game campaign last season, and the workload has contributed to the club's injury toll. I don't think the running demands are too much. I think we need to get fitter. I think the players need to get fitter. And also as well, we can't put all the blame on Erik ten Hag and Manchester United. The fact that, look, we play so many games, like, it doesn't help that the World Cup was mid-season. It doesn't help that we had a lot of pre-season games. And also it doesn't help that players are injured, because once one or two players get injured, that means a couple of other players are going to play more. That means players that aren't used to playing every match, starting every match, are going to pick up injuries because they're not used to this. And then, you know, it's like a snowball effect. I don't think that is the reason that we're getting so many injuries. I think there are a lot of other factors which contribute to Manchester United's injuries. However, this will be one of the reasons. I don't also think that Erik ten Hag should completely, okay, we're not going to press at all. We're not going to do any of, you know, what we've been training to do for the past year and a half just because we've got a couple of injuries. I think it's just unlucky. I think, as I said, hopefully if Erik ten Hag's here next season and we have, you know, no injuries and we've replaced a lot of the players and all of this stuff starts falling into place, I think it's a very different outlook. I don't think there will be as many complaints about this specific topic next season. But right now, Samuel Luckhurst, I think, is a bit of a leader runner. That will obviously be the only reason that Manchester United have been picking up injuries. There will be many factors and everybody will know that. But anyway, guys, hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Keeping up to date with everything Manchester United through myself via MPB. But if you guys haven't already, make sure you go and follow MUFC MPB over on Twitter, or X as it is now called, as well as myself, Anil Kandola and Aaron. All of our links will be in the description down below. Make sure you hit that like button and the subscribe button to keep up to date with all of the videos. Once again, if you want to keep up to date with everything Manchester United, that is the news, transfer news, scores, gossip, lineups, everything, make sure you follow MUFC MPB over on X. It has been me, Anton, or Brooks, and I will see you guys on Wednesday with my next video. I believe Anna will be here tomorrow on Tuesday, so make sure you keep an eye out for that one. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you on Wednesday, and goodbye.